Everyone should now be able to see my screen. I am not really able to engage with everyone. Actually, maybe I'll try to. So if you have questions, please feel free to post them on the Tariq Law Facebook page. As people come, we'll continue on. So common violations that are on your consumer credit report, how to spot them, and what to do about it. So this presentation is really going to provide you with a few common violations, but mostly I'm going to be spending time talking to you about where violations actually are and how to spot them altogether. And so my name is Subhan Tariq. I am an attorney in New York City. I am licensed in New York and New Jersey. My email address is on the screen. That's my office phone number. It's my Instagram because a lot of people, a lot of consumers contact me on through Instagram. So you can check out Instagram there. Um, and Facebook, facebook.com/starklawfirm. So please go to facebook.com/starklawfirm, like us, subscribe, shoot us an email, let us know if you ever found any value from this presentation. We would love to hear from you. I'm always love to hear feedback and how we can improve upon what's going on here. So a disclaimer. The materials available in this presentation are only for informational purposes and not for the purpose of providing legal advice. You should contact an attorney, your attorney, to obtain advice with respect to any particular issue or problem. Use of and access to this presentation or any link of the email links contained within the site do not create an attorney-client relationship between the Tariq Law Firm, us, and you, the viewer or the user. The opinions expressed at or through us are just mine. So, please don't, take us too much. So, without further too much ado, I will start with common errors on credit reports. It's important that when we're first talking about common errors that people see on their credit reports that we first start with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The Fair Credit Reporting Act is very important to remember. It's not a strict liability statute. What does that mean? So under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which governs the conduct of third-party debt collectors, there's strict liability. So if the conduct occurred, then it's automatically a violation. However, under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, there is a materiality aspect to damages. So if we can't show how the consumer has been harmed, it will be difficult for us to overcome a motion to dismiss. And what do I mean by this? So statutory violations of the FCRA are not enough absent willfulness or harm caused to the consumer. So what do I mean? So willfulness is usually established by providing the credit reporting agency a lot of notice of what is going on, notice of that your rights are being violated. You have the opportunity to send dispute letters to the credit reporting agencies to provide them notice, and that triggers the responsibility by the credit reporting agencies to conduct reinvestigations as required by the law. So it's really important to remember that there's a materiality aspect to damages under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. It's not a strict liability statute. If we can't show how the consumer has been harmed, it will be difficult for us to overcome a motion to dismiss. We can continue on. The issue is that you have to provide enough notice to the credit reporting agencies for them to have triggered, okay. So if you send one round of disputes to the credit reporting agencies and they do a reinvestigation and there isn't an actual damage that stems from it thereafter. So from that one round of disputes, if there is a result that's generated that says that it's verified and accurate, and in actuality, uh, when you sue for that, you have to show that the consumer was harmed. How was the important question to ask is, where is the inaccuracy and why does it matter? So if a consumer had been sending multiple rounds of disputes regarding a mortgage that was on their account that wasn't theirs, for instance, I had a case that we filed in the Southern District of New York, and it was a consumer that had previously filed bankruptcy. The mortgage had been discharged under his credit report, and it was still reporting as being owed under the credit on his credit report. He sent multiple rounds of disputes, and it continued. The furnisher continued to verify that it was reporting accurately. Well, that's what the important question to ask is, where is the inaccuracy? So in here, we were able to identify the inaccuracy that was that the bankruptcy had discharged the obligation under the loan, and that it was appearing as being currently owing due on his credit report. So, and why does it matter? Well, that has the ability to destroy someone's credit. Credit is your life. So it's very important to remember that you can't get a house or a car or a mortgage, a student loan. People won't rent you an apartment if you don't have good credit. So it's really important to remember that you need good credit in order to always, get somewhere, and get what you're looking for. And so the important question to always ask is, where is the inaccuracy and why does it matter? And so what I want to do is go over 6, what I call not really the top inaccuracies, but what I see most common and what you can do about it. But first, we'll go with the most common errors that I see, the 6 most common errors, and then from there, what to do about it. But, here we go. So, error number 1, the consumer paid the account balance in full, but the credit report shows the consumer still owes the creditor a balance. And so what does this mean? So if your credit card company is showing that you owe $450, but in actuality you paid them in full, right? The account was paid in full, so therefore the balance should be 0. There should be a 0 balance. There should be no balance being reported. And this is an inaccuracy that we see a lot, that people who have paid their bills and they have proof of those payments, often will show us with a credit report that shows that they still owe a balance, or they've paid to another collector. We'll go to this at a later time, one of these other ones, that they've paid another collector, and now the original creditor or somebody is coming after them for a balance, right? So if you've paid this account balance in full, but the credit report still shows that the consumer owes the creditor a balance, that's a potential violation, right? So that these are all, it starts with errors. So we start with common errors, and then we'll go from there. So this is a common error that we see on people's credit reports, that that a consumer paid a balance in full and still reporting as a balance. Number 2, the consumer paid less than the full balance in a negotiated settlement, but the creditor still reports that the balance is owed. So that it shows that either there's a full or a deficiency balance that's being owed rather than a 0 balance. This, actually, I can't mention the name of the company, but I could say that they're a common telecommunications provider. They had this for a very long time, where they would settle with consumers for less than the full balance that was owed. So let's say you owed $2,000 on a phone bill, and you settled, or a consumer settled for $1,400, and you paid it. Now the balance should be reporting as 0 on the credit report, But a lot of times, this telecommunications company, the phone company, would often report that there was a $600 balance being owed. Well, that's a common error that people are seeing on their credit reports, that they're, well, I paid this or I settled with my creditor a while ago, and now suddenly they're telling me that I owe some amount of money, even some deficiency balance or the full balance, when in actuality I should owe zero. Another error. The creditor issued a 1099-C to the consumer. Now, so a 1099-C or a 1099 is when you pay a contractor, or when you, in this context, when you forgive a debt, when you write off a debt, when you forgive it, that we don't, that we're not going to collect. This is not complete. Not, it's different from charging off. When a creditor charges off a loan or a debt, they write it off on their books, but they're not sending you a 1099-C. A 1099-C is when they forgive the debt. That they say, you know what, we're writing it, like we're not going to collect, we're not selling it, we're not doing anything. We're gonna write it off as a complete loss, or we're just gonna forgive this loan to you. So you're gonna get a 1099-C. If a consumer received a 1099-C, but the credit report is showing that they owe a full balance, the balance should be reporting actually as being zero. There should be no balance. If the creditor provided you a 1099-C and forgave a debt, then absolutely the debt should not be reporting with any balance. It should be zero. Another error that we're seeing a lot, a debt buyer buys a debt. A debt buyer buys a debt from another creditor and re-ages that debt, re-ages the last paid date on that debt on the credit report, or the date of last activity. So what happens is, a lot of times when a debt buyer will buy the debt, the last payment date was actually like 2013, 2014, 2000. Actually, we're in 2020 now, so most likely 2015, 16, 17. But a lot of times what they'll do is, in order to re-age or keep on that debt on a credit report, in order to keep that debt as long as they can on a credit report, they will change the date of last paid or the date of last activity to a recent date, like 2018, 2019. And this will have the effect of keeping something on your credit report for a lot longer than it should be there, right? And so it's important to, this is another top error that we're seeing on people's credit reports. Of course, this would stop working right now. Okay, number 5. The debt belongs to a consumer's relative, but it shows up on a consumer's credit report. So a debt that doesn't belong to the consumer is reporting on the consumer's credit report, and is not, doesn't actually belong to him. So what's the example of this? The example of this is, John Roberts Sr., John Roberts Jr., Michael Scott the first, Michael Scott the second, Michael Scott the third. This is happening a lot with John Doe Jr., John Doe Sr. A lot of people, I've noticed this also a lot happening with twins. People who have someone who has a similar, they were born on the same birth date, same address, usually they have the same last name, usually a similar similar or first initial of the first name is the same, and that causes a lot of time errors to appear on people's credit reports because it means that that their relatives or like a brother or a father or a cousin or something, not cousin, but usually like a senior, junior, somebody in the same house, someone with similar names, similar social security numbers, last digits maybe a little different. They have another error that they see on the credit reports. And number 6, the consumer is an authorized user of another person's credit card, and the report shows the total balance of all users, not just the authorized user's balance. Now, this may sound a little complicated, so now let me explain it to you guys. The consumer is only an authorized user. So that means that the consumer is not responsible for the debt. The consumer is not responsible for the balance. The consumer is not the user, the authorized user is not responsible for the payments. They're just responsible for having the card, right? If it's a joint account, then they're responsible for the joint balance. But if you're an authorized user, then you're not responsible for the balance, the total balance. You're only responsible for your user balance, your balance, or not your balance, but sorry, that's what should, that's the, sorry, you should, that's the only thing that should appear on your credit report. That user, that authorized user's balance. And so many credit card companies show the total balance on a credit card account for all users, not just the authorized user, even though the credit card agreement makes it clear that the authorized user is only liable for charges they make, not the total balance. And so it's really important to remember that an authorized user is only responsible for the balance of the authorized user. And so what to do about it? And so the important thing becomes, what do you do about inaccuracies or errors that you find on your credit reports? So the important thing to do is, a lot of times consumers contact me and say, oh, I have something wrong on my credit reports. I want to sue. How do I do that? What do I do? And the important things, and these, you should write these down if you need help with these things. If you ever find an inaccuracy on your credit report or an error on your credit report, these are the things that we need. Your credit reports. We need your credit reports. In order for us to evaluate what's going on, we need to actually see how it appears on your credit reports. We need the dispute letters that you've sent to the credit reporting agencies. If you have copies, please provide them to us. If you have evidence that the information that's appearing on your credit report is inaccurate or wrong, for instance, if you are saying that you paid a debt off and you have proof that you made payments, please send us that evidence. Please provide us a brief description of the issue. Tell us what is wrong with your credit reports, and don't please send us on a chase, for through hundreds of documents while we are trying to figure out what's going on. The reinvestigation results. What does this mean? The results that came back, the answers, the letters that you received back from the credit reporting agencies, we need to see them. So please send us the reinvestigation results. And if you have any adverse action notices, or if you received any denials of credit, we need to see those denials of credit. So if you're going to if you've suffered any denials of credit, if you've suffered any sort of adverse action, if you haven't gotten any promotional inquiries or any other adverse action, you have to attach, send those to us. And finally, this is just the first part of a series that we wanted to do about common violations, how to spot them and what to do about it. And it's important that you are able to spot errors that are on your credit report or that may be on your credit report, and you actively take steps to correct the inaccuracies. The Fair Credit Reporting Act provides substantive rights in order to correct it, in your pursuit to correct inaccuracies on your credit report. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. My email address, my office number, my cell number is there. If you have any questions, feel free to text me. I'm good at email, but it could take a few days to get back to you. Text, is something that we love to answer questions. Instagram for everyone who's on IG. Make sure to follow us on Lawyer for Consumers on Instagram and on Facebook with facebook.com/Tariq Law Firm. We'll be adding YouTube as we kind of grow the YouTube presence. And make sure to subscribe and share with your friends. If you have any issues with your credit reports or if you have any inaccuracies in your credit reports, please feel free to contact us. We love to hear from you, and we love to answer questions. If anyone ever has any questions, there we go. That ends this slide. I can stop sharing here, and now you will see me again. And that should end today's series. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact us. We love to answer them. Tariq Law, Subhan Tariq, Lawyer for Consumers. Check it out. Take care, guys.